GORGI MBOOB bounces back as anti-crime unit commander. Gambia Red Cross Society rolls sleeves to suppress that wave of COVID-19. Members of the Chamber of Commerce discuss way forward. This and more coming on Gambia 24. Hello and good evening. You're watching Gambia 24 News Bulletin with me, Mariama Cham. Thanks for joining us. And now the news in detail. It is 10 months since GORGI MBOOB was dismissed as commander of the anti-crime unit of the Gambia Police Force over police brutality. In addition to his demotion, the officer was sent out of the Greater Banjul areas following a dismissal recommendation by the National Human Rights Commission. The same commander of the army unit of the police has been called back to duty for which he was once criticized. Omar Ahmed Toure has the rest of that in this report.
In July 2020, anti-crime commander GORGI MBOOB was accused of hitting Ibrahima Sane with a hoe on the genitals. The boy, who was arrested with other young people, was subjected to forced labor at the anti-crime unit. The National Human Rights Commission recommended his dismissal and that he should be punished. It could be recalled that in 2019, when protesters who accused him of brutality burned his compound in Ibotan, the incident was triggered by riots in Serekunda following the death of one Usman Dabo, allegedly under police custody. GORGI MBOOB was eventually removed as commander of the anti-crime unit of the Gambia Police Force and then transferred to the North Bank region amidst public pressure. Crimes in the Gambia has since the condemnation of police oppression in the way of the anti-crime noticeably been triggering public outcry. The level of insecurity compelled the police to introduce what it called Operation Zero Crime with a view to restore public trust and safety. The anti-crime unit established in April 2018 is mandated to combat crime and criminal activities in the country. Under Commander GORGI MBOOB, the unit won the Most Outstanding Crime Control Service Award in West Africa in 2018 at the Africa Security Watch. GORGI MBOOB tightens his belt with a counter-terrorism training in Egypt, Ivory Coast, Mali, and Israel. He served with the French Special Forces in the Kidal 23rd Squadron and won the Red Beret French Special Forces Award in 2016. Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Umar Ahmadu Toure.
The Senegambia Democracy and Governance Organization, in partnership with Red Crescent, empowered the needy in their 2021 Eid celebration. The presentation at Sengo head office in Bakau put smiles on families that will have not afford the cost of a ram or other ruminants. Fatmata Kasim has the rest of that.
Sengo is a charitable non-governmental organization registered in Maryland in the United States. The chief executive officer of the organization, Tuku Jallo, who presided over the presentation of animals to beneficiaries, acknowledged the support of the Red Crescent towards the initiative. She explains the rationale behind the intervention of her organization.
The fact that this is a very important Eid, when every family has to sacrifice a ram, due to the history that we have with Prophet Ibrahim, with his son, and Jibril, as we all know about it, that Ibrahim was about to sacrifice his son. And he was rescued by a ram through Jibril to save the child. So in this case, when I thought about it, I'm like, let me just reach out to my donors, whom I have the belief and the trust that they will always do, because they're people who have the feelings of the poor and the needy in the United Arab Emirates. They call them the Red Crescent, whom I affiliated with, signed an agreement with them in order to be able to support the Gambian community, to be their lending hand in the Gambia. Since I'm their affiliated, I'm co-founder, we work in hand for them to be provided finances to help out. Due to the fact that Gambians, we are a poor country. We depend on a $1 a day meal survival, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And looking at the situation of the country is very horrifying, very terrible, very sad. So I have that empathy and sympathy to see that my people will not go hungry.
As Tuku explains, The Eid was a moment to share with and care for families that are less able to provide for their children. The gesture to earn the shared blessings from such a kind gesture is among the compelling factors making Sengo to put her feet in the souls of the poorer population. In feast like Eid al-Adha, sharing among Muslim brothers and sisters is very rewarding, as sounded by Mrs. Jallo.
At least whatever it may take and whatever we may have, we can always share with our brothers and sisters, uncle, niece, and nephews, as we have the celebration here in the back of my office. So in this case, I tried to ask them to provide us with rams and bulls, which they did provide it. Definitely they help out. And we are thanking them from the Senegambia Democracy and Governance that they have provided this since last year. They started it last year with 8 bulls. Then I managed to make it up to 10 bulls. But this year is overwhelming. We have bulls, more than bulls, gobras, with ships, a lot of ships that you saw the vehicle coming down with the ships and the bulls. At least I was very happy. And I feel that my Gambian brothers and sisters, uncle, nieces, and nephews who couldn't afford it were able to do so to enjoy themselves with their kids.
Boubacar Jete is one of the beneficiaries of the gesture, and this is what he had to say.
Not everybody can able to afford rams, but if we have a Muslim Ummah who creates some ram for poor people, definitely is appreciated. We all thank for the donors and those who are intermediating and those who are helping and together to make this gathering successful.
The International Red Cross and Red Crescent Movement, who partnered with the Senegambia Democracy and Governance Organization in this project, is the largest humanitarian network in the world. Its mission is to elevate human suffering, protect life and health, and uphold human dignity, especially during armed conflicts and other emergencies. For iAfrica News, Binta Jallo.
Now, the Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross Society has expressed preparedness of the humanitarian organization for the third wave of the coronavirus global pandemic. Alassane Senghor was speaking to iAfrica TV in the wake of renewed public consciousness on the dangers posed by the virus in its new trends. The government has since last week announced the launching of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in addition to the revival of the preventive measures. Daisy conducted the interview and she now reports.
Although businesses have reopened and restrictions eased in the Gambia, the resurgence of the coronavirus cases in the third wave is a matter for public attention. The third wave of COVID-19 bears the fingerprints of the Delta variant, according to health officials, which has been identified in 19 countries across the world. Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross Society, Alassane Senghor, said the situation has compelled the Gambian-based international organization to double up efforts in responding to COVID-19.
We have never stopped our operations since the beginning of the response since 2020, early 2020. We continued. What we have done with the surge, increase in the number of cases, what is being considered the third wave, we have scaled up our efforts. We scaled up our work in terms of the preventive measures, in terms of sensitizing the communities, and also helping communities to also take care of themselves in terms of use of face mask, sanitizing or washing hands, and also understanding the need for social distancing. So we've scaled up that work.
Right from the outbreak of the pandemic, the Red Cross has been in the forefront, battling back the spread of COVID-19. Its role in disinfecting public institutions, including schools, had paved the way for a safe back-to-school period across the country. Similarly, Red Cross volunteers had been responsible for execution of various services of patients who died of COVID-19, as Mr. Senghor explained. However, the barrier protocol from the World Health Organization has positioned the Red Cross to empower families who desire to do the burials of their loved ones by themselves.
The protocols for managing the death from COVID has changed. It changed actually late last year or mid last year, when WHO changed the protocols from Red Cross actively doing the burial to disinfecting the bodies and then handing them over to the families to do the burial. Notwithstanding, in the event that families feel that they can't do it for obvious reasons, our teams will always do. So we have not been doing the burials. Mainly in some very rare cases where families want us to help, we will help.
Proper equipment and resources are highly needed to enable a proper and timely response on all COVID-related emergencies on the side of the Gambia Red Cross.
One of the challenges that we face and other institutions, including governments, have faced is the lack of resources to be able to respond adequately. But for us, and like I said earlier on, that's why we have been in communication with our parent body in Geneva and to support and give more resources so that we are able to respond adequately to the needs of the response in Gambia.
The increase in the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths in the Gambia has overwhelmed both the Ministry of Health and the Red Cross Society, a situation for which Mr. Senghor urged for cooperation of all stakeholders, including the public. The Gambia has recorded an overall total of 7,333 COVID-19 cases, out of which 6,205 have recovered and 208 have died since the confirmation of the first case in March 2020. Across Africa, COVID-19 cases are surging by 20% on a weekly basis. The situation is quickly approaching numbers documented during the peak of the first wave in July 2020. The number of coronavirus cases and the resulting death toll, according to officials, will continue to rise in countries that are unable to suppress the virus and conduct comprehensive vaccination campaigns. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
That report by Ndai on the Red Cross's preparedness to suppress the third wave of the global coronavirus that hits the Gambia will take us to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the news on Gambia 24. Stay tuned.
The locations, the design, the materials used, all the way down to the latest details, are few of many things that we focused on when we envisioned the airport residency. As proud innovators of community estates, the airport residency in Old Yundum, a project by Swami India International, offers unique gated community with 3- and 4-bedroom villas and duplexes. Just 5 minutes away from the Banjul International Airport. Luxury, convenience, and accessibility are some of the reasons you should consider this great housing opportunity. With a clubhouse, a playground, access roads, and parking facilities available for your dream home or a valuable investment, you will find all you need at Airport Residency here in Old Yundum.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Gambia 24 News. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry earlier on Tuesday held the 2021 Annual General Meeting on the country's trade sector at the Sadawara Jawara International Center. Members of different trading sectors brought together their thoughts on the Chamber's position in the growth of industries beyond the borders of the West African nation. Amanda tells us more.
The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, being a membership organization, is responsible for the stimulation of business development and promotion of trade in the country. One of its major engagements is the organization of the annual International Trade Fair as one of the leading business exhibition events in the sub-region for the promotion of businesses and interstate commercial transactions. The annual general meeting was meant to review achievements and challenges for the year under review and discuss with members the way forward on the country's trade matters. Hadin Jai, a member of the chamber, raised concern over what she recognized as a gap between the elderly and the young in GCCI-sponsored activities.
It's like you people, the ones you have started with are the only ones you know, that is the elder members. We, the youth, at the grassroots, are not normally included in some of your travels and meetings. The older ones should try and drag the youth to climb up because they are aging. If they do not show us the way, we will not know. I have observed that only certain people will be attending events and meetings outside the country. Sometimes I sit and ask myself, why am I part of this? You are paying our dues, but even at some of these events, we will just hear them, or we will just see them travel, which is not fair. This should be an open thing where all will be inclusive.
As the chamber is set up for all, people in other parts of the country feel exempted from a number of opportunities.
I'm representing the people of Combo South in the West Coast region. Us, like any other person, we should see ourselves in this. For me, I was brought up in Bakau, but I'm residing at Brusubi. But I do everything in Combo South. I want you people to have sympathy for us and see us as Gambians. If you look at the women in Combo South and other areas in the province, they are female citizens of this country. They should not be left behind. Either you are the president today because we voted for you to look after us. Please try and support women at the grassroots level. Don't forget about us because we are also part of this country. But here all we talk about is Serekunda and Banjul, and those are the people we see traveling. Try to turn your back on us. We also want to see ourselves as members of the chamber.
Hence, women are seen at the forefront of many businesses in the country. Kebanjai urged the chamber to be more supportive to them to keep the chamber strong.
The other thing I want to proliferation of chambers.
What I want to say right now is we have a low reformation of chambers, and Mr. President, if that happens, it's like the chamber has done a great job because it's like we want to include it in the line. If that happens, we can carry all the women on our back by bringing the Women's Chamber of Commerce and housing them all at the GCCI. We will also bring the Youth Chamber of Commerce and house them as well. There is nothing wrong in doing all that, even if we are going to charge them. Let's charge them a small amount as their contribution. But let's try and help them so that they can see themselves in the chamber.
The president of Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Idrissa Job, promised members of the chamber with additional networking events to ensure the flow of ideas after observing that the space provided for the AGM was limited.
A forum like this, then continue.
The importance of a forum like this is we should try and continue it because today people are exchanging ideas. We have seen mentors giving advice to the people. No matter the age difference, if the younger one is more experienced than you are in what both of you are doing, then he is your elder and your mentor. Listening to each other is education. Education is when someone has passed through routes to get to where he is. So I think I will promise you that we will start after this meeting for us to have more networking events. It will allow us to be telling each other the truth because telling each other the truth is very important. However difficult it is, we must be brave enough to face each other and speak the truth.
The meeting considered the financial report of the chamber for the period ending 31st December 2020 for adoption as well as the audit and activity reports. For iAfrica News, I am Amindao.
In that report by Amindo Day on the GCCI's annual general meeting, which brought together different trading sectors in the country, brings us to the end of Gambia 24 News. I am your presenter, Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching and do have a good night.